The second type of sleepiness is physiological sleepiness. This is the physical component of sleepiness, the physical component, a relatively objective one, the strength of your body's need to sleep. It is most commonly measured using the multiple sleep latency test. Oftentimes, this is just referred to as the MSLT. I want you to really pay special attention to this one. It's going to pop up very frequently in research, the multiple sleep latency test, referred to as the MSLT. For this test, a person is given a 20-minute opportunity to fall asleep in a quiet, comfortable sleep lab room every 2 hours throughout a day. And the time it takes for them to reach stage N1 is recorded. The mean is close to 17 minutes, by the way. Now, if one is able to reach N1 in 5 or less minutes, it usually indicates a pathological level of sleepiness for during normal, wakeful daytime hours. Here's a normal MSLT score printout. An important thing to remember about the MSLT is that it is not measuring how quickly you get to sleep at nighttime when you want to be sleepy. It is measuring it during daytime hours when you don't want to be sleepy. Here are normal MSLT scores. At what time of the day does sleepiness typically peak? And you'll see that that is about 3:30, right? Sleepiness. Now, some researchers experiment with measuring theta waves as a way of measuring physiological sleepiness, but this has not been established as a very valid or reliable measure because circadian rhythms affect theta waves, as do meditative activities. Now, the third type of sleepiness is manifest sleepiness. The behavioral component of sleepiness, the behavioral component, and also a relatively objective one. One way to measure manifest sleepiness is the maintenance of wakefulness task. The MWT, as it is often referred to, is similar to the MSLT, except that people are trying to stay awake instead of trying to fall asleep. As such, it measures the ability to remain awake. Let me repeat that. It measures the ability to remain awake. Also, manifest sleepiness is measured by various psychomatic vigilance tasks, which involves measuring performance deficits, errors, attention problems, and actual drifting off to sleep. Like the MSLT and MWT, people are in a quiet, dim-lit room and in a semi-reclined position, but in this case, performing a task which is measured for both speed and accuracy. An example would be Ogilvy's simple task study involving sequential finger tapping. You might remember that. We discussed that in our first lecture, right? Or pressing a button when hearing a certain sound or when seeing a certain light. Something that's pretty simple, right? But measuring both speed and accuracy. Okay, let's just look at a few terms here. Sleep deprivation refers to no sleep at all. How long do you think you would survive with no sleep? The average for human beings is 14 nycthamerons. Acute sleep restriction means you usually get the sleep you need, but occasionally you don't get enough. An example would be getting an hour or two less sleep than you need once or perhaps twice a week. Acute sleep restriction sometimes cannot be avoided and generally is not that consequential. However, chronic sleep restriction is much more common and much more problematic. Chronic sleep restriction, sometimes called short sleep, refers to not getting enough sleep on a regular basis. Chronic, regular basis. Chronic sleep restriction is disturbingly common in the United States. A study by the National Sleep Association, which we will call American Sleep Debt Study, showed that most adults in the United States get less than 7 hours of their 7 to 9 recommended hours during their entire work week. Then they tend to get caught up over the weekend. And most United States teenagers get less than 7 or 8 of their 9.25 hours that are recommended during their entire school week up until the weekend. Sound familiar? The result is that when we need to be at our best during our work and school hours, we are functioning significantly below par. In our next segment, we're going to explore effects of chronic sleep restriction.